It's a 60s, 50s, 70s, huge
but they
machines.
still do production right now.
Sorry?
They're still charming.
So,
They're still charming, they're still in production.
oh yeah. I grew up in a family where my mom owned this machine, and we had the beats. You know, it's like a huge type this size, which you use to store data, and we just play with this stuff at home. And these punch cards we used to write down like on yellow stickers. Instead of them, we use punch cards. So I just saw this teaser of the store, and it's like, welcome to the future! It's a bit silly. So I decided to kind of explain what was happening here. Like in 1950s, people expect future to look like, not like it look at the edge, just more stuff, more things like that. So obviously the coolest thing was this, a tram which plugged to a railway, and other way around, like our tram, and a lot of double deckers flying machines, and the guy was a flag here. And I was surprised today morning. I found not one but 5 or 6 pictures exactly with the same mold, with the same pattern of how people expect future. This is my hometown, but it was in Russia. But people in Boston, in America, they expect it's the same. Absolutely the same picture. They expect it's going to be a lot of steamships, a lot of flying machines, and people going to be happy with trams in air. Yeah.
So that was 1950.
Yeah.
When they expected. And they were saying what year in the future?
Exactly.
100 years in the future?
No, yeah. I believe near future, like 20, 30 years, 50 years. So my point is, we actually completely terrible in predicting future. I hope we're kind of a little bit better now, but still, like, we're really bad at predicting what's going to happen. And it's great for me because I'm not going to talk about what's going to happen. I'm going to talk more about what actually happened already and what is the situation we are right now. So the title of my talk, Contextual Applications, and maybe in more general, like computational devices in a context. And if you think about it, you have an application, device, network. You can draw this quite complex diagram going deeper and deeper in what we mean, what is context all about. But instead of that, I decided to just put a few questions. And you can imagine an application asking, who are you? Someone who's trying to interact with me. And where we are. And what you want from me. When I write down these questions like that, in my imagination it was like horror movie. You know, when application actually kind of in a tricky situation, like, what the hell is happening? What do you want from me? And we can think about it more like fairy tale style, like it's a quest, an application trying to figure out what it's all about, what is happening here. And to understand the roots of that, why we have this question, why application, any application actually has this question, and how it finds a way to understand that. I'm going back in time, and yeah, it's actually morning. Yeah. I just opened my laptop, it was another update of operation system, and I realized, okay, it's already asking me about context, it's asking me this question, who are you? Who are you, someone trying to interact with me? And the fact we have this screen still on our laptops, it's my personal laptop. Why it's asking me who I am? I'm the Lord. Okay? Now it's still asking me, like, hopefully it's showing me my picture so I can easily figure out which one is me, this one. Yeah, by the way, my name is Ilya Belikin. I'm based in Hong Kong. I'm a developer, designer, and founder of a startup. I'm going to show you a little bit what we actually do later today. So, at the time when my frames was a big thing, the concept of time sharing exists. And you have this super expensive machine, and each interaction is very heavy, so you basically put patch cards in the machine, or huge type as your program, and you usually write it down on paper before that. So you have this precious time when you put your algorithm in a machine and you want some answers. And of course you need like room for yourself for machine to work with. So at this point people realize we need a multi-user system when we're going to have a terminal and we connect to mainframe and we have this interaction. So much later when they build Unix system, and iOS is one of the based of POSIX Unix system, they built it with this idea of many users connected to many files that have a lot of complexity, especially around this identity of who you are. Then what happened is personal computers. And this is not like, it's not PC, it's a Mac, but Mac was a manifestation of the idea that a person can have a computer, and when you have that, you have persistency of your data. You're not connecting to some server where you need to just give data and you have something back. But you have persistency on your own machine which you actually own. You have some tiny storage, but if you can write hello and have this hello. And now you have a real context because it's you who own this machine and you have persistency in time. So each time you're back, this machine still know what data related to you. You're in a relationship with this machine, it's your personal machine. It was completely revolutionary idea that computer can be owned by someone, not by an organization, but a person or family. Fast forward and we have internet. And with internet, we have explosion of identities. Because now machines connected to each other. And to provide a context, you need to answer this question about who you are to each server you're working with. If you need to send an email, you have identity of your email. Right? If you have a Twitter, you need to provide a login and password for Twitter, and then Facebook, and many stuff. Like we have explosion of this question: who are you? Who are you? Each service actually want to know. And what we have on this stage is conglomerates when a lot of services pack together, like we have Google, for example, is Gmail and many stuff together maps. And they're trying to own identity of the user, provide this convenient service, but at the same time provide this key for internet when you have a profile, you connect it to a specific service, and now this service it's actually you in the internet. And nowadays we have this login through Facebook, login through Google or to Twitter, and it's like attempt to own the context in a sense. Does it make sense? Hey guys. Okay. Yeah, I'm just speeding out a bit. Another thing, like where are you? And when internet started to be a thing, the only way to answer this question, where are you, you can ask the user, right? Or you could analyze IP address and figure out the location of IP address. And we're still using that, but of course your location of your IP address may be not actually where you are located for many reasons. And it's not an ideal system at all. And it's very interesting to analyze how maps work on this stage. We have internet, we have a database of locations, visualization of this database. And the way you use maps, you go to maps.google.com and you see an address and you find, probably the first thing you do, you try to find your own location. Because machine have no idea where are you. Only you know where are you at this stage. So you provide your own locations and you provide another location where you want to go, and maybe it will even build some paths or at least give you like estimation how far away this is. What happened next is phones and mobile revolution. And now we have a completely different situation when device actually assume that it's actually personal. Not like a concept like personal computer, but really one person probably owns this phone, so that device trying to be a one hub. And even I believe in the first version of iOS, we have this concept that system now remember your login and password for Facebook and Twitter, so that you don't need to put them again and again in the system. Like it used to be like 30 days cookie that, and you don't have your identity. Now we have the phone, which is manifestation of your hub to internet. It's your identity is this phone. And this phone, on behalf of you, connect to the services. And these services, because of that, has a huge advantage to become a way how you identify a user. Nowadays, we usually use Facebook to connect to any application, any third-party application. Another thing is, when you have just internet, you have this conglomerate of useful services all together. It's like a huge application, which is map and search, and everything is connected. When we moved to mobile, it started to be completely opposite of that. So you have a tiny application with a tiny function, and when you just tap on an icon, you're already providing a context for application. I'm going to do only this specific thing. So in a sense, it's kind of answering the question, what is going to happen, or what is happening. I'm take my phone, I turn it on, I provide my identity, and then I choose an application. And this is workflow. I choose my application, then I interact with the application, and I have some useful results, hopefully. Or just watch some cats on Instagram. And it's a completely different situation from what we have just on desktop and internet. Because here you have like connection of dots together. Another thing is, of course, is GPS. We have actually a real physical location, at least outdoors. So that before that, we have a database, a map, and visualization of this map. And now we have a user who can open this database on a device, and this device automatically know where the person are actually. And it's interesting for me because this context of database plus the actual location become a foundation for new business models. So you cannot expect to have a service like Uber, for example, or Yelp, or Foursquare, if you don't have this very, very rich foundation of context. So it's not just a better application. This kind of applications, they cannot exist when you don't have a context of good enough map, database of addresses, locations, and your current location. Where are you right now? And because this service exists, and navigation is possible, turn-by-turn navigation, and on top of that, just huge industry. Now we're talking about like Uber, like a huge company which owns the concept of transportation of future, but it's not possible without underlying context, where users are, and where you can find an address and go to the specific address. And then we have what is happening right now. It's still like we're in a transition right now. And just the same way as I show, like the normal way to interact with the phone, I turn it on, I unlock it, provided answering the question who I am, and then I choose the application, I find the application, I choose the application, I provide them a context what I'm actually going to do. Ideal interaction with watch, you rise it, you glance it, you're done. Ideally, application already know it's on your wrist, so it's always aware this is my owner. It's the only owner. It's impossible to someone else is using it right now, right? And when I glance, it's trying to show me what is contextually makes sense. So instead of steps when I'm answering the questions, is this scene actually trying to answer my question in the context before I ask for anything? And in a way, what is happening is, instead of having one screen, we have like many devices, and all of them now have their own existential crisis when they're asking who I am and where I am, what is happening here. They're not asking user about it, they're asking each other, and they're asking surrounding devices and network maybe about the same set of questions. So it's just a super good example of It's Nest is the thermostat, a camera, which you can put in, have almost immediately connected to the internet and store your data, and Philip box, which you can connect to your phone or to any connected device. As just started trend, it's still growing, but it's not here yet. It's what we can understand is happening. But in a sense, like it's a device which can see you, feel you, and react on you. Like if you're left in a place and it's evening, it can show a specific tone of the light. So we back to these questions, and I kind of down this history deep into, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about examples of applications we use, some of us use every day, and examples of different platforms, how they answer in the context, how they react in the context. Do you have any questions? Okay. I'm actually freaking out completely. It's my first long talk in English, so feel free to ask something, because maybe it will help me just to put more meat. Yeah?
So are you trying to define the psychology of modern life?
Wow. Yes, why not? Actually, today when I finished this part, I realized it's maybe a book, probably in distant future. It'll be terrible, like in distant future, but I can imagine a book about the future, like 15 years when someone would have amnesia, like complete amnesia, but nobody notices that because the person acts as usual, because the person have all these devices helping to go through the day. So if this trend will continue, we can imagine a situation in the future when a person which still remember how to deal with things, but don't remember anything, like anything about the past. This is what happened when we have amnesia, still kind of relate as a person in society because we have this vibration and we see what's happening next. You should go there and do that, and a lot of artificial intelligent devices helping you go through the day and do your work and your meetings and stuff. Like an application which showing you what you're supposed to talk with this person.
But there is one problem. Person have amnesia, they forget how to use devices.
Yeah.
You see, you need to remember how to use device. Have amnesia.
If the person is amnesia, you should remember how to do
There are
usual
short-term
things.
memory problems and long-term, so they're usually a long-term problem.
Yeah.
And using devices is in long-term memory.
Yeah. But you still remember how to walk. And I believe, the mind is so...
Walking is a long memory.
Yeah, I understood. I mean, brain is so adaptable. I can expect the brain going to be adapted more to this kind of stuff. Of course, it's not going to be muscle memory, but I feel like I have muscle memory on how to do stuff on my phone sometimes. Maybe I wrote about that. Anyway, let's go further, right? Okay, examples. So, Twitter asking me, who are you, or maybe you here, let's do something about that. But what's interesting is that Twitter actually understood that I'm in Asia, and Twitter is showing on background, trying to guess where I'm from. And it's showing this picture from Harbour Revolution, and two from So I believe Twitter kind of thinks probably it's cool to join some kind of movement so that they're trying to associate this very deep thing about democracy and Harbour Revolution with signing for Twitter. As actually guessing, so they're showing a few more pictures from Japan, from Taiwan, because they have no exact idea who I am. They're trying to find something which will work. And this is exactly what I talk about, when you're trying to figure out context from IP address, which you can be associated with your location. It's another example. I just found only one help me to do that. Only one application which actually use signing with iCloud. And it's a feature which was introduced in iOS 8. And the idea here is that instead of using Facebook, Twitter, or Google, we just sign in this iCloud and you're done. Because iCloud is what you already have. So Apple already have your identity, they already know that it's you who uses this phone, and they kind of, okay. And for me it's quite interesting because again, a war between different corporations, basically, who try to own your identity. And in this case, Apple trying to provide alternative. Somehow it's not working well, and I'm curious why. I believe the answer is that developers actually creating about data, and what they have is Facebook, for example, they already have a photo, a name, and some profile, and maybe even sometimes its ability to share on your timeline, on the wall. But in this case, all you have is just a number, identity. And it's technically, from the privacy point of view, it's much better, but developers not really rushing to use this option at all. Because, yeah, developers want to know as more as possible actually about you, instead of just knowing that you have some identity. This is a great example of application you probably use every day, many of us. So I want to know what's happening with sound, and instead of how you should do, tapping on the screen, I'm trying to raise volume. An application realizing that probably if I'm doing so, I'm trying to hear what's happening. And it's showing this small banner to remind me that if you actually want to listen to the sound, you need to tap on me. And it's showing it in a position where it's not closed by alert. So I can see that and that as part of one UI. When I rising up sound and this message contextual to what I'm doing right now. It's so tiny. I mean, it's very, very, very small bit of interaction, but it makes the application feels better and contextual. This is a much bigger example. This is Mona. Mona is a museum of old and new art in Hobart, Australia. So it's the biggest private collection of art, different kind of, a lot of different art in Australia. And the guy who owns this museum at some point realized, so on one hand, he wanted to talk a lot about what every piece means for him and why it's here, why it makes sense, why it's so precious. But on the other hand, in previous version, I don't have a picture, but in previous version of this museum, they have like big wide list of labels, like a lot of text nearby, and it's reading experience completely. You cannot actually just look at art, but around it you have a lot of notices what it's all about. So instead of that, what they've done, they make completely different outlook. They have a very, very dark room when art is highlighted and no labels whatsoever. Nothing is labeled here. And instead of labels, they give people, visitors, they give them iPod Touch. And iPod Touch, they have an application which is very, very contextual. This application can figure out where you're located right now, showing you a list of art you're looking on, and if you tap on a piece of art, it's showing you a description, it's going to provide you audio material, it's going to provide you deep dive into history. And they ban phones at first integration. Now they use application actually, but at first station they completely ban phones, so you don't have any distraction and you have only one magical device which shows you what it's all about, and able to show you where to go next. An interesting part of that is that after this whole experience, you have a PDF on your email with the map, how you moved around stuff, and what pieces of art you like and what pieces of art you hate. So if you like something, you're going to be highlighted. I love this, because it's not only like application become better. No, it's the whole experience of a place become completely, absolutely different. How it physically looks, how you interact with it. Because of contextual array application, which now able to provide you even better experience. This used to be from a space. You don't need to read on walls. Now you read on the device. At the same time, you have amazing canvas for art. Yeah, actually, I have a list of links, some videos, some stuff, and if any of you will be interested, just let me know. I will send you an email with all links. Instead of trying to remember stuff, you can just ask me. I will send you already. So I have a template with all links. I very much recommend to watch the video about this project. Okay, and this is my program. So we actually it's the same, kind of, but in the context of a working place, a working space, or a private office. And what we built, we using icons, this kind of devices. We built a plan of a space where you can open application, you see where are you can see who around you and where are people located. So idea is to build kind of Harry Potter Marauders map, but actually working without magic, but with Bluetooth. You have first installation as a component. If you're interested to learn more, I don't like to really teach my work now, but at any point you can learn more about that. And again, I believe this kind of applications, what they're going to do is not just provide convenience, but change how you interact. In our case, instead of calling or texting someone and asking, are you in the office? Where are you going to be in the office? Or asking someone, where is someone? We're going to check it in application. And if you need to meet someone, maybe you will just grab avatar and move it to a specific location. It's going to be the way for you to say, I want you to be here. Super visual, super contextual. And when you move someone, by the way, you actually see where the place, for example, nobody here in the meeting room. You see this meeting room is open, empty right now. I'm going to move you in this meeting room, and I'm going to move myself in this meeting room, and this is how I arrange a meeting. And I hope people will still talk to each other sometimes, but these applications, it may be some steps you're going to do differently. I love this example because it's a Nest, and it's this Internet of Things device, which on the wall. And what is happening here is they have a feature which is called Farsight. It's a basically sensor in this one, which sends a proximity to a human being nearby. And if you're far away, it's not showing you the who you are, it's only showing you the most important bit, which you can actually read from the distance. Only temperature in this case, infrared level. In this case, when you reach the device, and your proximity is very close, before you start to interact with it. So it's proximity sensor, it's not just when you interact with it and changing. No, when you just approach, it's very close, it's already changing. It's reacting on your presence. And after that, when you interact with it, you have full UI. It's still very clean, but it's much more complex in this number, almost twice smaller because now you can see it. Love it. And this is bike tap. It's actually based on kind of the same Bluetooth technology which we use for automated offices to provide indoor navigation in offices. What they do is they do two things. You put this device on your bike. When you take your bike and start your ride, you start to write your journey in your associated application. So instead of open application and providing a context for application, it's me, I'm going to write, please log it. Instead of that, you just take your bike, you ride, and you sure you're going to have this log. But another big thing is security. If you have an accident, it's going to recognize your fault, wait for a few more minutes for you to do something with this device. And if you're not doing anything, you're going to send an emergency signal to your friend and your GPS location. So you know your friend on a bike, probably in a bad situation here. And this is cool because it's automatic, it's kind of magical context for your very tricky situation. I actually ride this bike, I understand how bad it can be. So I think it's a good example of real contextual device. Okay, do you have any questions? Comments? Maybe you don't agree with something, no? Okay.
So is there actually a project in mind?
So?
Is this a project?
This one?
Are you actually trying to do, no, the whole thing, is it some kind of project? Are you actually trying to
It's
get
all my
us
life.
started out of this?
Currently, it's all my life. It's really. I'm a founder of startup. I invest all my time into startup and building applications contextual well. And because of that, I'm trying to figure out why it makes sense, what is happening in the world, how we can actually build an application like that. And I hope, You know this disruption theory, like S curves? So his idea is that usually why we're so bad in prediction stuff, we expect stuff to be very linear. But instead of being linear, like just more steel ships or more flying machines with two bakers. Instead of that, what's happening usually, you have a technology which is underdog for a while, very, very slowly started to take over, and then you have this period of time that's growing as crazy. Like, we actually, right now, believe through the time when mobile, as a scene, like mobile phones, they're still growing as crazy. It's just unbelievable. Every year you have, like, twice more. And you kind of, wow. So, but you remember that, like, it was like 20 years ago, it's just started and going super, super, super slow, and like, and then you have this growth period, and then you have S curves going like that. So my assumption is that what is happening right now, when we kind of settle down with ideas, application is going to be like Internet of Applications, we kind of okay now that application is going to dominate instead of websites. Okay, but next thing what's going to happen, I believe, is that differentiated between application going to be a context. If application able to understand where are you, what you actually need, what kind of specific situation you have, this application is going to be something incorporated in your life, and something you're much likely to use. Does it make sense?
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
What's the name of your startup? You said you want to start something. What's the name?
We have a crazy name of the company, it's Unge Design, but maybe it's easier to know, to remember use space. Use space is application which you actually building. Okay,
Sorry.
yeah.
Do you have any predictions of new context that we don't have right now? You're talking about where are you, what are you doing, who are you? Do you see any context in the near future which we haven't really used yet?
Yeah, a lot. Like question of what you're probably going to do tonight, or it's like on a date, right? But, before the date. I mean, application trying to figure out what is prediction, what is going to happen. So what context this will be. Application trying to collect more data points to figure out what's going to be next. So future context is definitely what's happening right now. But the thing is, like we have supercomputers in our pockets, right? But at the same time, potential is not realized at all. Like we actually use a super dummy. So it's the same with context. On the one hand, it's already here. We are already able to provide quite good indoor navigation as this value. But we still need to figure out how it should be incorporated in real life, how it would add value for users of this space. We have a lot of ideas about it, but nothing really proven by market. Yeah.
Good, cool working space application. Is it running now or it's just a concept?
It's better, it's in beta. So it's not a concept, it's actually running. We have a few locations on where you can try it.
Does anyone feel like they're being stalked?
Sorry?
Does anyone feel like they're being stalked around the office? Because if you know where everyone is at any point in time, I'm just wondering, like the actual...
Yeah, so privacy concern is big, but at the same time, surprisingly, it's not existing in real cases. So in real cases, we're already kind of here. So what we've done in the application, we put the privacy first, I'm sorry for, but anyway, we show you location of other members only if you present it here physically. And we present it here physically because we sense you with the sensor. So if you're sitting at home, you have no ability to see how people wander around the office. But at the same time, because many places are networks, like for example, this place has 3 or 4 different locations in the city. Right now, we're trying to show you whole community. So if you're sitting here, you still can see someone from Kennedy Town. Yeah.
How is your data stored? Because, well, to give a bit of context to the question, I'm an environmental psychologist, so I look at how people use the space.
Okay.
So how does your application report where people are and how they use the space? Because considering that, you might actually, I, for example, might actually analyze the space and say, oh, this design is not good, it's not encouraging people to communicate. So I'm curious about how does your, or have you thought about looking at office behavior, for example?
Yeah.
Or is it just a way of like, oh, I know that this person is in the office or not?
Yes.
Yes, what?
But because we're thinking a lot about how we can
Oh.
collect data, and at the same time how it's not going to be really bad for privacy. So, for example, you know a company like Steelcase,
Yes.
they do a lot of research. And I believe for a company like that, maybe future is instead of sending someone and have surveys and stuff like that, to have census information, just shipped from the very beginning, and then collect the data, and then analyze this data, and provide users data so that you can say, maybe ask a few more questions from people like, what is happening here? And then provide some insight and say like, yeah, this is going to be.
Well, apart from the observer, an observer can only, it's still a human, so you might miss some things. Whereas if you would have a device like this, then you might see some details that otherwise you wouldn't.
Yeah, of course, and you can have so much more data. Because human just can observe people, but people actually acting differently when they observed. You know, when my mom come to my house, I usually clean everything. Yeah, the same. If someone just arrived in the office, sit down and like, yeah.
I'm sorry, finish your sentence.
That's okay. Yeah, I believe everybody understands
So my friend and I, we've been planning a holiday, and we've been doing this online, and mostly through Google searches and all that. But we both noticed that today, on Facebook, there was suddenly an advertisement for the area that we have been searching, both on Google, for instance.
Okay.
And so that was aware of what we've been doing so far, and I think in internet and advertising, that context aware is also quite important, right? Because you can give more maybe targeted advertising. But it had a very
Yes.
creepy factor.
Yes.
So do you think the world
So-
is ready for this?
The thing is, like, can I jump to technology? Because it's actually super related to this technology. So we use beacons, and one of the formats is iBeacon. And when iBeacon 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, was presented to the general public, idea was from Apple, the general use case. We're going to put that in stores, and when someone approaches the store, he or she going to see sales and be like, whoa, this is cool, I'm going to buy these shoes. Somehow it's not happening, and I believe it's kind of was first guess what is going to be the use case. Of course it can be useful, but at the same time, somehow it's not taking off at all. Like it's not really happening. After 2 years of technology existing, and after like big players said, yes, we're going to support this technology.
Going on this, actually, I wrote a detailed story, and one of the things that I believe is one of the main holding back factors is that it requires the business to put a huge amount of infrastructure to give the user something which they may or may not want. And so it seems a much better investment for them to put the onus on the user and make them decide if they want to, like using the barcodes and stuff like this, because it requires much less work from the business, and the user gets to do what they want, but they make the decision themselves.
Yeah, this is huge downside of this technology from any customer point of view, because you have this question marks. Like you need to install some hardware in the store, and actually hardware becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So it used to be like $30 per beacon, now it's like on retail, if you buy only one, it's 10 USD per beacon. So in 2 years, it's 3 times cheaper now. But you still need to install this stuff, and still someone need to care about this stuff. Is it working? Sorry?
Or the coding as well.
Yeah. But anyway, like it's a good question. I would just want to connect this to like from like it's kind of obvious that it's going to be this way. We're going to approach the storage, we're going to push up some notifications, but maybe it should be like if a retailer actually have a good catalog of stuff, and they know you, have your identity, and they can answer the question what you usually like, or you have a wish list of stuff you actually like. And then you're approaching a store, like I'm walking through outlets, and I craving for Burberry Grange, but I cannot afford it in my same state of mind. But I'm going through outlets and I have this push notification. Like it used to be like 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, and now 2,000. We kind of okay, and then go to the store. So if it can be built around this, like it should be much more context to be useful. And then probably for retailers, then it's going to be like a good pitch. You actually can learn more about your customers and be here to help them spend money not twice.
But retailers have that already online, and you just need to pay for like, you have that on Facebook, you have that on everywhere. If you search for anything, then in the next day you have advertising related to what you've searched, or something like some big discount.
Unfortunately, you don't have this button. I already brought the advertising.
Well, I had once on Facebook like advertising about diapers, and I never searched diapers, but probably on my age related, so they started like, so you have that already. I think that retailers just need to like spend the money for advertising, but you do like, you have a lot of data already there.
I just want to give you some idea about it. Like, okay, but actually, the advertisement on Facebook is growing, but it should have a lot of noise, and you get it all the time. Like, oh, she age when she need diapers. Let's throw diapers on her. When you have an application which is contextual, it may be much more wise about your context, what you actually need and why you need that. Like this idea of beacons in stores, it can be cool if they can trigger you buying stuff when walking around.
Yeah, I think your point, but applications, after all, the big money comes from advertising,
Okay.
right? So how
Depends.
well, true, but most of the money comes from advertising, because all the application, or most of the applications that we use are free. So how do you support the big team of designers that is behind if you don't make it open for advertising?
Okay. It's a good question. We have different business models trying to charge owner of venues.
Well,
Because we have kind of different services. I don't see how we can incorporate advertising in that. But anyway, yeah, you're right.
well, maybe we're talking about different applications.
Yeah, the same technology in retail probably advertisement. Yes?
Walmart is the biggest conglomerate that does predictions. They can tell you what you're going to buy tomorrow. Walmart knows the history of everything you've purchased, anything at Walmart. They have really sophisticated algorithms to know what you're going to come in and buy next. They know what they're going to push on the next sales based off the number of people coming in that area. So when you see, if you never heard of Walmart, think of it as a big AO, a big superstore. And the next time that they're going to be pushing out flyers, and flyers are basically a Western way to say, we're going to have discounts on these things, and here's a set. That's based off of the general populace in that area that is going to be more than likely purchasing those types of items or things in stock that they need to push in. So Walmart is one of the ones that your exact example of context aware, and they are probably the ones that actually put this in practice on a daily basis the most.
It's actually growing very fast. I just recently, like, I forgot the name of it, but it's huge European retail network. They started to incorporate the beacons with the same kind of goal.
One of the things in the retail as well, so you can, if your business chooses to, you put RFIDs on every product in your store. And then you can, if the user's obviously got a connection with that app can contextually know that the person picked up 3 pairs of shoes and they're all black or something, and they can say this dress goes perfectly with these shoes, or like if you just go around the corner, we've got way more in stock in your size and stuff like that.
How they know artificially transmits but never receives?
Pardon?
Artificially transmits is what receives.
Yeah, but the app will be set up.
So we need permissions.
Sorry?
We need permissions. And it just transmits.
Yeah, but if you're in the store, you can install that and you can tell it that you want to be aware of the context, right?
It seems for me like it was like a game, some game between big players. So Google decided to back an idea, and Apple said no, and they come up later with beacons. as we're trying to say like it's cooler. Yeah, from ecosystem point of view, right now probably becomes much more.
But there is also a problem because usually what people try to do, they try to put every different person, for example, and we do triangulation and they look here. But when we have a complicated layout, there's some problem. Physical law break kicks in for interference. And some guys who do real stuff like tracking, they know in which place you are physically.
Yeah, we do that. So
There's still a lot of problems.
yeah.
You know, even here in Hong Kong, some units professor do that, it's still there is not close to.
So
What they do here, it's just a beacon. It's
Yeah.
Bluetooth. We go there and it counts with some algorithm science how proximity, that's awesome.
two like biggest issues with beacons that
It doesn't do
you
triangulation
have
at all.
proximity to it, but if a person stays like that, the signal here is twice less. So
Law
the
of
body
physics.
can block the signal. So if you're talking about technology, beacons are just the best what we have right now, but they obviously not going to stay for a long time. They're not going to survive.
Usually they do the
Five
other
years.
way around. They put the beacon on person and they try to triangulate him, but you need a lot of beacon to do triangulation.
Yes. Yeah. And if you have a lot of beacon, you're trying to use maths to decide where as a person, you still have all these issues when some beacon, for example, going down and signal is twice low. Or another thing is a pattern of antenna. So from the very beginning, you cannot rely on that beacon going to emit the signal evenly in all directions. So if someone put it this way, it's one strength of the signal, if this way, it's another strength. It's exactly what we found when we started to work with technology. But if you have more context about the space, like in an office, you already know where the person probably should sit because it's workplace. Here we can understand you in the room, but we show in the map you on your workplace because we assume if you're working here, you should be on your workplace. And this assumption is okay for this kind of application. So technology is not really good. Yeah.
So what I hear is kind of two things then. There's one where you take assumptions, just like you said in your example, and the other thing what we've been talking about is predictions. We're trying to guess what is the situation, what is the context. How did you write your algorithms to decide to do something in your application? So how did you make it actually context aware in that sense? Did you have some service, some AI to figure it out, or is it more rule-based that says, okay, if this condition is true, then it must be this?
It's two ideas collided. So one idea was about what's probably the next wave of context and the prediction of context. We're not doing that on our application at all. We hope we will be able to do that, but right now we need to figure out the much more basic stuff. So I cannot share any cool AI-related stuff. We're not doing it right now. It's just what I believe is going on here. Like you just analyze what happened with update of iOS just recently. They push for predictions, and Google now is the best example of what Google is doing.
So is it a technology challenge or a workload challenge to you?
It's data collection challenge first. When you have a lot of data, then you can do this stuff. Yeah.
One
It's
context.
just it's a Google and it's a startup, 3 people, so no. Not right now.
I was just going to say one context issue is if you're supposed to be in a meeting but you're really posting pictures of you at the beach, the app should know that and say we won't post them yet.
Yes. And it's going to be a start of your privacy, so maybe you're going to be like, it's not your business what I do on my phone. We share. Yeah, we have a lot of these ideas of interaction. Like we have another application which is helping people and a team to communicate together. And this application actually going a little bit further and showing you a list of your teammates and what kind of activities they involve right now based on location and based on another data, like in patterns of what people actually doing through the day. So if you're in a meeting or if you're coding or you have like different types of activities you have through the day, and we're trying to figure out what kind of activities probably is happening right now to provide this feedback to your colleagues. And another thing we have in this application is I'm occupied. So if you have like different types of activities, you have through the day, and what kind of activities probably is happening right now to provide this feedback to your colleagues. And another thing we have in this application is I'm occupied. So if you have like different types of activities you have through the day, and what kind of activities probably is happening right now to provide this feedback to your colleagues. And I'm busy right now, or I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm coding, for example, but I'm open for conversation, or I'm coding and I'm completely closed for conversation. You can be in both states of the mind, and we wanted to build a platform to communicate this idea between teammates, especially a remote team. Like if part of the team remote, it's really cool to have this one context. Actually, in our application, we have another cool idea is that we have an office, and we have some people remote. We have virtual rooms on the layout of the map, which does not exist in reality, but we make these funny small rooms where people sit in the rooms and you can see someone in home office right now and can interact in the same way as you interact with a real person in a real map.
Is that based off the assumption they're there, or is that they have to?
No, they need to install a physical device in their remote application. I'm sorry. Let's talk about that actually. It's a big size, yes. So we have iBeacons, and iBeacon again, it's a tiny device, battery driven, it's Bluetooth smart or Bluetooth LE. We put it on furniture or in a room, and it's a meeting signal with ID, and that's it. It's super dumb. You never connect to it, only to configure it. So it's one-way communication. It's sending like 1 second. It's like I'm here. Then you kind of okay. My phone understands you here. That's why I understand the phone is here. That's it. And the problem is that it's a wave which can be got by body or by glass, for example, or by water, metal, not so much wood but steel. And it's a physical device which you need to put in the room. And of course there are much more technologies available. And okay, a little bit more about this one. iBeacon is a standard, open standard from Apple, but just months ago, Google finally decided to go to support this kind of idea. And in their case, they tried to, as usual, they tried to collect as much data as possible. So they want to build like huge global database of all beacons existing in the world. So they come up with Eddystone, which is a way for you to describe your beacon. It can be static or moving on a car or something, where it's located on longitude on a physical map of the world, which floor, and then use free services from Google. Like you can associate some data and store it for free. So Google trying to make you feel like, wow, it's so cool. For developers, so easy to provide some free data about your beacons. And another thing, they actually provided open source firmware. And it's a big deal because if you develop your own beacons, and we trying to do that, what we found is 70% of the price of developing a few tiny hardware is firmware. It surprised me as a software guy. I was completely surprised that in hardware, the most biggest challenge is software again, just different kind of software, firmware, which exists in this.
And Ruby doesn't work there, it's C.
Sorry?
And Ruby doesn't work there, it's C, pure C.
Yeah.
And there's some restrictions.
Yes. So the iterations, this kind of code is completely different, so and another developer is going to be very focused on completely different way of building stuff. Yes. Yes.
So what happens when everybody has iBeacon built into their mobile phones?
Nothing.
And you go right up by somebody and you get a printout on everything about their lives.
So
But
the question probably about what's going to happen when we have proximity to everything in the world.
Nothing. Just transmits.
It's really hard to answer this question. It's probably not going to happen because another way for technology going to disrupt that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about technology, which is going to probably disrupt this beacon stuff. So that I just don't believe it's going to happen.
Beacon adjust the transmitter and transmits ID, that's all.
And by the way, we already have beacons in every phone. So every phone can work as a beacon. So if you need to test stuff, you can use your iPhone as a beacon and your iPad as another device and see proximity if you like. They already have Bluetooth, so they can act as the beacons. It's not something. Okay, this is another technology which a friend of mine is building. And it's quite interesting because it's attempt to build a receiver instead of emitter. So instead of having a beacon which sends signal, they have it other way around. They have connected all the time to internet and to power small receivers. And this is just an example of what they see from one receiver on a conference. So they anonymously see a lot of devices around. Especially, it's working very good with iPhone devices, with iOS devices, because iOS devices actually super active in trying to figure out connect these devices around them. So it seems like something changing here, like in two last situation on iOS. Like right now, I'm not turning off my Bluetooth at all because I have a watch. Watch not going to work without Bluetooth. And I'm kind of feeling curious why they still allow me to do that. They don't ask me every time, but I don't have option to go and turn off GPS. So, but I still have, and I believe it's going to change. They probably going to ask you once, are you going to allow this? And then they go, okay. You said yes, so we're going to do that all the time. So this is active research. The idea is that instead of making applications smart, you're trying to make a space smart. With active receiver, you can figure out who approaches the space and change how space reacts on that. One use case I really like is when they install this stuff in Cafe, and they connect it with Google Analytics. So they use interface of Google Analytics and just feed this data in Google Analytics, and then you have all these nice graphs on how many people at each point, how many people with Apple Watch, how many people with Android, how many people with iOS, and specific physical location of this store. And it's quite amazing because it's so, like, if you're a web developer, you already know how to use all of that. And it's kind of, wow, just install one $40 device and you have all this data about things. And then, of course, you can build on top of that. You can use this active device to then figure out idea of this iPhone or watch and provide more and more context and enrich this experience. We're now working together actually on one project where we install beacons and receivers from Really Active to build better maintenance networks so that receiver can see beacons, and if some beacon is not working anymore, we can see that from always on receiver, even if nobody in this room is turned on Bluetooth. Again, this example is very interesting because they put like basically TV in some locations, and the scene is people actually love to see themselves on the screen. They created for that. And it's surprising many people because you kind of assume that the people are going to have this old privacy issues. They kind of, no, they want to be on the screen, they want to be visible, they want to be connected and social in a way. They want it to be with a whole bunch of other people. But the problem with all these technologies, in most cases you need a physical hardware which you put in a venue. And as 8, I believe, so in 2014, Apple announced that they're going to put co-location, it's a big framework, co-location outdoors, indoors. But unfortunately, they implemented based on Wi-Fi, and now we have these kind of limitations. So you need to be in a line, so you need to ask Apple to add your venue on the map. It should be a big venue. General public, you need to have a reference map, and you need to Wi-Fi it through the whole building to the system to work. When it works, actually work very well. And it's probably something we're going to have in the future. Eventually, this technology probably will become good enough for us to understand where are you indoors without any additional hardware installed. But it's going to use Wi-Fi fingerprinting, magnetic data, a lot of other already existing electromagnetic waves in the building to understand your actual location. Does it make sense? Any questions? Okay. Okay, so this one is actually from Indoor Atlas. And Indoor Atlas, it's another technology based purely on magnetic plus some Wi-Fi. The idea is that when you have a compass inside the building, this compass is changing a little bit, and it's precise enough. If you walk through the building and record that, you have some specific patterns. If you have a huge database of this data, then when person is moving, and this is quite big limitation, unfortunately, you need to be a moving target. Then interrupters can figure out where are you in the space. Again, when it's working very well. But limitations are huge. You need to be like someone working with a device. Hopefully they will make it combined with other data sets. Maybe they will make it so that you can work without hardware. And this is advertising from their side, but it's not talking about limitations as usual. Yeah, it's working without hardware. It's maybe an enabling for us. But in long term, I believe more in vision. This fundamental problem of trying to figure out application with electromagnetic wave, the electromagnetic wave interfere with stuff. But if you have light, so the humans understand where they are. Hopefully device is going to understand where they are. And this is Project Thunder by Google, and they are already doing that. So you need few more sensors on the device. If it's eventually will make it to serial devices, to devices you can just go and buy. Now you need to go and buy a specific device. Hopefully, eventually you can make it, and it actually have so much more implications. Like you can make a 3D model of anything just using your phone. And of course, you just can walk through the building and have like full stack simultaneous mapping and location. So you can build time in map in real time, and you can locate yourself in real time. I hope we will make it here. But again, the big limitation is only if you use device actively. What we have even right now is beacons, even if your phone in your pocket, you still can understand you walk in the building without you opening the device and doing like that. It's probably it about technology. It's exactly what I said. No. Okay, well, this is actress which was so terrified on the very first slide. She's now much happier. Okay, I almost done. Any maybe questions, feedback? Yes.
You're wearing an Apple Watch or an iPad. Are you concerned yourself about privacy? Because, well, like you're like for like every whatever beacon, whatever is like things in stores, they can also pick you up. But do you care?
Wow. Yeah, I expect this question. Are you a fanboy? Yes.
No.
Do I care? Yes. Actually, like from fanboy point of view, like I feel like Apple actually doing a lot recently to provide better privacy. I'm not so sure about Facebook specifically, or like for me personally, it feels like Facebook and Google still trying to play a game where like relax, it doesn't matter, we just collect a lot of data about you, and it's nobody will ever like as a service. And Apple noticed this business, and I'm kind of happy about that. It's actually like doing real good moves recently to make sure your data is private. But I'm fine about it, you shouldn't listen to me.
Yes, surely with the whole privacy matter, it only really affects you so much by how much data you give. I mean, obviously there are ways for them to track down stuff without realizing. But most of the time when people are collecting data, it's because you've actively chosen to sign in through Facebook, or you've chosen to take that route because it's faster and more convenient, and that's how they're getting your data. Isn't that how it kind of works? Without you kind of actively giving them the information, it's not like they've all of a sudden stalked you, you've given it to them, and then they're using it.
I feel like much more things in play. First of all, you have a social pressure. Everybody on Facebook, so you should go on Facebook, for sure. And then when you sign in for Facebook, you never read this long list of stuff you're going to collect and the ways you're going to collect it. And what is happening, I believe, is kind of society in general don't care so much, but some people starting to realize it's actually very, very strange. Like when corporation owns so much data, about people, it's a lot of power. And they just repeat it like, we're going to do good for you, not bad. But you don't have any ethical regulation in place at all. Like you don't. Like, put it this way, if you have a doctor in healthcare, you have some moral code. If you have a teacher, you have some moral code. If you have a developer, no, just no. And this is strange because every social, like any good, like security, wealth, education, you can check any socially government. Everything work through the network, on top of the network. Everything is code, but we don't have any ethical regulations about code, so that you use tricks as a developer. If you develop a service, social service, for example, or you develop a social game, you're using a lot of marketing tricks to make people give up data. And basically, it's the same as you're using tricks to make people pay you money through your data.
And that makes it seem like the user's really dumb and they don't know what's going on. A lot of the time, it's not just trickery, it's like...
But actually, right now, they know your location, no one realizes because they have a phone. Phone sends a signal to base station, and more base station around you, they do triangulation all the time. You already
you
knew
know
what
that's
no.
going on, you know your phone is a GPS. It's not like
It's
you're
not
going, "Oh my
GPS,
God."
it's based on base station, so yes, cell phone.
Yeah.
Actually, you don't even, when you use a Google map, you don't do a GPS. People usually don't do GPS. They know your location based on cellular station from your carrier.
So
And the problem next about ethical action, the government, they do more law. For example, in Hong Kong, there's a private data law ordinance, and about Uber, in the States, they try to do different law to say it's not a shared web service. Actually, they are your workers, and you need to pay more. So the government always catching up, and they provide new law.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And another issue with users that users actually, like unfortunately, they're not dumb. They just optimize focus. Like if you care about too much stuff, it's impossible.
For example, I can't go to Kara and ask her location right now. It's illegal. But carriers know your location. I think they can triangulate you like 100 meters precisely where you are right now in Hong Kong.
Not only carriers, but actually Apple doing the same. Like co-location actually work on top of.
But based on every cell phone, even not Apple, they can know your location. And you sign a contract. For example, they have a contract, they know you're here in Wan Chai, and they can even say which building. Even if.
Yeah, it's a completely different topic.
But everyone can get that, so it's not. It's all about the government to get that law.
But going back to the Facebook thing as well, you don't really need to have a Facebook account for them to track you and advertise to you and stuff like that as well. Because if you use the same phone or the same computer multiple times, the cookies can track you anonymously, so you don't need to know that you're a woman, they can see you look at.
I believe what is happening is like a huge change, and it's basically what I described from a positive point of view. We have more context, we can build much more smarter app, but it's all true. But at the same time, what is happening is that we as a society as a whole, we give up on privacy. And I think what's going to happen next is going to be backslash, and people kind of, ooh, wait a second. So I actually hope that's going to happen, and what we're doing right now when we build in our application, we're trying to be super explicit of how we're actually not storing your location all the time. We're storing only your previous location in the current location. We're not storing the whole story of you in the building, so if you go and kill someone or something, it's impossible for us to give up data about you because we don't have this data. So we're trying to provide service, and at the same time we're not trying to collect these data about you and store them so that it's not possible for us to work with government entities and provide them data about you. If anything, spam. Killing was a bad example. Yeah, it's the same way. Okay, any questions? Can I?
Do you remember an old movie called The Truman Show? Does anybody know this?
It's Jim Carrey.
On the boat trying to escape from
Yes.
With
Yeah.
the door.
Yes.
Well, the whole idea of everybody wanting to watch one guy go through his life. That's the Truman Show. Maybe you don't know it. Jim Carrey starred in it. It was maybe
Yes.
30 years
Yeah.
ago. I mean,
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
the reality is nobody cares. Only the people that are advertising and trying to get money from it. They're the only ones who care.
Okay. Thank you.
It's all about the money.
I'm out of time. It's okay. I can finish now, or I should just invent another topic and talk of you more else.
No.
I'm sorry if it's really not like super well structured. I hope next time it will be better. If you want me to send you links, I have like 20 or 30
Yeah,
links.
you
of different.
can also just post them in the meetup. In the meetup
Yeah,
group,
it's even better. Okay, I will do that. Thank you. Thank you.
You should come back and we have a session too on that, so it's really
Wow.
exciting.
Actually, I can provide much more like technical data. So maybe it's like have room for another talk for developers. Maybe I'm something I'm thinking about maybe kind of works really interesting. Rather than systems, right?
Because I think this is like super interesting conversation.
What? Oh?
I'm sorry, I don't make you guys.
Oh, what are you doing here?
No, but I think it's a super interesting conversation, and then it's interesting like how many different angles you can look at it, and like what might come to like terms of question. It's like wow, endless. I was like, wow, we could do this in another 2 hours, but unfortunately the future is unstoppably coming, and we have to leave at some point. So thanks for this. Awesome, very cool. So Bart is doing a quick lightning talk on printer-friendly responsive web design, and it's probably going to be quite entertaining because I want to hear about all those pain points and those like interesting encounters you have with us. Okay, so.
All right, this is not going to take long, so don't worry, it's not going to be a very long talk, lightning talk. Recently for our web application that we're building, I'm a web developer, we had to build in a printer-friendly version of the web application because we have a wealth management platform and we have some research information, and one of our clients asked, can you print this out? They were like, oh yeah, actually, that should be no problem. Back in 2004, you know, been doing that before. Who knows to write at media print? That's the first question I have. At media print, any CSS people? Not many? All right. This is going to be still quite okay, even if you don't know too much about it. But it should be pretty straightforward. So what was the problem, which I found 2 weeks ago? Well, if you do web development, you might use a framework. Bootstrap is quite popular, so we are using it as well in our application to put everything into place. But you would expect that Chrome, one of the leading browsers, would be actually quite okay with this stuff, right? It's 2015, should not be a problem really anymore. But in fact, Internet Explorer did a better job at it, because when I tried to go just to the print preview, something weird, the whole page got squeezed. The whole page was much smaller than it's supposed to be. Now, what the thing that I think Chrome tried to do is it went like, okay, on a piece of paper, you have this many dpi, dots per inch, and we're going to try to make your screen fit as it would nicely fit on paper. And that meant it was actually smaller than most others do, right? So what is the problem with that? Well, in Bootstrap, you have this nice grid system, and this helps you to do responsive design. So after a certain time when the page goes wider and wider, and I think you've seen it before, suddenly the page jumps, right? And it adjusts to its size, which is really nice. It helps to target big screen, small screen, and anything in between. But the problem was that Chrome decided, well, you know, since I'm going to print, I'm going to print in tablet view. Because it thought it was so small, I'm just going to squeeze it in. And in our application, that screwed everything up, like everywhere, which we didn't want to. So, that's a bit weird. So, quick Google search, and I found this. And you're like, okay, that's not great. Well, it's written in the docs, I should have read, but apparently it's a problem, right? And there is a nice bug on it, and it goes on forever. When you see the scroll bar this large, you know it's a big problem. So I go like, uh-oh, this is not good. This was not as easy as I thought. But solution. Ta-da! Simple, right? CSS is you define styles for your page. We say, if the media is a print, you want to print, make sure that the viewport, the thing, how wide the page is at least 922 pixels. Sorry. Awesome! 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 Awesome. Let me know when you get to the end. So for anybody who has done CSS before, well, it's obviously not that easy, right? Because then you go, can I actually use this? And supposedly this should be all green. Because red means no. Flag means it only if you're running in a very special mode that actually almost nobody on this planet knows how to even start something with a flag, then you could get it. Minus and yellow, not good. So in other words, no, that doesn't work. It's not that easy. So here's the solution that does work. I found out there is this other nice page directive where you say the page needs to be at least the size of A4. That apparently tells Chrome, okay, we're going to make it a little bit larger and they're going to be more ready for bigger sizes. But I still need to tell this container in which Bootstrap puts the grid and where it sizes up, okay, force it to be at least 1,000 pixels wide. And if you know a bit the breakpoints and when things start to snap, like the 992 that we saw before, that's about that size. So it just puts a little bit over the template view, and then it snaps nicely into place. Also, that page attribute with the size, it actually is already there forever. But not many people use it, but now you have a good reason to use it. On the other end, if you have Bootstrap, it does also some other funky stuff. So it nicely helps you to, whenever you have a link on the page, like normally when you print stuff, you don't know where the link goes to. You see maybe like an underline and you don't know where it goes to. So it very nicely puts the entire link in it. Well, that's nice, except when you have a web application, because then the button becomes, it goes through the door and continues. So the whole layout gets screwed up. So this one is the only reason why you can use it for. Then you may still want to show it only in print view. There is surprisingly nothing in Bootstrap that says, oh, if it is print, I only want to show this. You can hide stuff, but you cannot show stuff. These things. But one more thing. We use charts in our application. And that charting library is an external library. And I build it so that whenever you size the page, normally that's a chart, when you draw it the first time, it stays the same width. So whenever the size of the page becomes less wide, you need to redraw the chart. No problem. The browser fires an event whenever you size your screen. Be careful though, it fires like crazy.
Chart based on canvas, HTML5.
We go there later.
That's what's the problem. If you do graphics on that side, it's no problem.
Trust me, this library doesn't do it, okay? The thing was though, when we were drawing this, so whenever we resize, fire this event, the event redraws it. Now, the challenge with the print view was that normally when you size it, we wait a little bit before you stop dragging so that we then redraw, because it's kind of an expensive operation. But the thing is, whenever you go to print preview, it goes so fast that it doesn't get the chance to redraw. Whereas, okay, that sucks, yes, thank you. So what we had to do, there is actually in JavaScript, you can actually trigger media queries. This is amazing. And the best part of it all, this is how it's supposed to look like. So all green, all good, except Internet Explorer 9 for the unlucky few that still need to support it. This was one of the reasons why we dropped it now, so for its annual need. So that's all good and sorted. That's all. Thank you.
One thing, A4, does that mean that you can't print your web app on A5 or something?
And you can, but it just sizes it by default to A4. So
Oh,
it's,
so the dimensions.
yeah, it's optimized for A4, and within A4 it then puts the frame. And then if your page is smaller, maybe in letter, right, like in the States, or other formats, it just blows it out.
What about old school solution? There is a button print when you press on that. It's the new page layout that pops in your window, and you have a special kind of HTML for print on it.
Yes, but that's a clunky one because it didn't work otherwise. So you need to re-render the page. If you already have a page, it's expensive. You need to re-render it all, copy it over. It's just not easy. Why not just use the built-in features for the browser?
Even still, some newspapers do that. You do
Yeah.
print.
But they have their reasons for doing that.
It's a business application. That's it. Old school, no problems with browser at all.
I know, but it's more work to implement, so we didn't do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Bart. Well, so that's it for today. But no, there's more here. Is there beer? Yeah. So everybody have a beer. We can stick around for. We have another 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So we can hang around, have a beer, have some more conversations on privacy and about any other questions. Tons. And by the way, next event will be on Thursday, right?
October 29.
Okay. Location at the lovely Hive. Yeah, that's George speaking.
Speaking about?
Oh. Why don't you check out the website?
Well, it's just before Halloween.
Yeah, you can dress up if you want. That would be fun. Shall we really reveal the topic already, or shall we keep this?
Anything you want to.
I don't think so. We can have it. So, anyways, we are also always looking for speakers. So, if anyone wants to speak and do like a lightning talk, or a long talk, or a short talk, or anything, just hit us up, Twitter, or here, or email, or anything.
The Hive?
Yeah, nobody's
Tell me
here.
about
So.
the Hive. Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow. There's usually always something. So, anyways, thanks to the Hive for hosting us as always. If you don't know yet what the Hive is, Justin will be happy to explain, but it's a co-working space that is the most awesome one.
You can rent a desk, you can rent an office.
Yeah, you can have a beautiful terrace and hang out. It's awesome. Anyway, thanks for hosting us. Everybody go grab a beer or a Coke or a soda, anything, and hopefully see you next time. Thank you very much.